Hello. Should have grabbed my crystal. I was feeling it. Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to Mondays of Maury. Me, Maury Elvington of Morph. Transform your reality, where I help you step out of trauma and reclaim your power. And they go so hand in hand, so beautifully together. And today I'm going to share with you about something that happened to me last night and brought up a ton of awareness for me. And I think that maybe it will shed some light to things that maybe you are hiding behind you pretty dynamically, and maybe you're not aware of them, and maybe you are. So if this is the first time you're seeing me live, welcome to my world. I've been doing this work for 17 years now, helping women reclaim their power. And I would love to get to know you. So if you are watching this live or on a replay, say hello. Welcome to my world. I'm so happy and honored that you are here. If anytime during this live you feel like somebody that you love could use this information and it could help them, please share. And let's dive in. So if you would just take a deep breath in with me right now. And let it go. And just kind of let whatever you accumulated during the weekend, whatever accumulated maybe even today on your shoulders, just kind of dissipate for a minute. And just really sink into your body. Maybe lower your walls and barriers. And expand out to the infinite being that you are, so you can really receive this teaching, this lesson, this wisdom that I'm going to share with you today. And it's going to be a little bit on the vulnerable side, because I'm going to share a story about me and what happened to me last night. It's exciting. And I'm hoping that you will get the awareness for you as well. So yesterday was Sunday, and we had these plans to go and do some things with a family member, and I was really excited to go do this. And then it started snowing, and my husband's like, maybe we shouldn't go, the roads are kind of slippery, we don't want to be stuck in traffic. And I'm one of those people that likes to go do things. I don't like sitting at home, and I don't like being bored. And my form of fun is not sitting in front of a TV and watching movies, and that's not what I like to do. I like to go out to nature. I like to go out and interact with people. That's just my personality. And so the thing is that we had this like family plan with my husband and my kids, and I was really excited to go do that. And then he ended up going, and helping his brother and working all day. And I ended up being home with the kids all day. And I got really frustrated inside. And I realized during the day that I was just getting angry. I was angry and I was frustrated and I was feeling all these big emotions. And I was trying not to let my anger take over me. I didn't want to portray it to my kids. I was home with them. It was snowing, so we couldn't really go outside. And I was just feeling all these emotions of being really stuck and being really irritated and really being annoyed. And I was using my tools and my energy to like process it, and I didn't want to take it out on anybody. And I was just kind of internalizing it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this really good dinner, and it's going to be great. And he's going to come home after he worked all day, helping out his family. And he's probably going to be hungry, but then he ended up not coming to dinner because he was working late and, whatever. And that even added more to how I was feeling at this point, right? And he got home, and, I don't fight in front of the kids, but I know that my energy was very short. And I know that I was very passive aggressive with myself. And I know how I get when I get hurt and when I'm angry. I keep it in. I keep it in, but I can't really keep it in, right? So it's a lot of energy to keep in and not to like explode it out. But I also know that exploding out doesn't doesn't benefit me in any way because he just shuts down. So nobody's going to receive anything, right? So there's this very big internal battle going on between all the things I'm feeling and all the things I want to say, and then blocking it, not wanting to put it out there, but also the energy is there and everybody is very aware of it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know, like, sometimes you walk into somebody's house and you feel like they just had a fight, you feel that tension, you can cut it in a knife? It was kind of like that. And even though I was really trying to maintain it, it's really hard to do. Okay, so first of all, before I move to the next step of this conversation, I want you to get an awareness of that with you. How much of those things that you just want to say, want to talk, and you don't, but everybody knows. And it comes out in terms of, maybe being really sarcastic, maybe, being very passive aggressive. Maybe we're just really internalizing it and holding onto it and like, but it's so present. Maybe you're feeling all of it, and so you're like walking and maybe kicking something, or maybe you're breathing heavily. It's like we haven't learned in this reality how to really deal with these big emotions. And if we don't have the tools to deal with them, I'm so lucky. I was using my tools, like, who does it belong to? Return to sender, right? All my tools, I was using them. And even with my tools, I was still very present with what I was feeling. I wasn't judging myself. I wasn't putting myself in right or wrong, but I was just very present with it. And I knew that, okay, the minute we put the kids to bed, we can actually talk about this. But I also didn't know what I wanted to talk about because, he was doing a really nice thing, right? He was helping his family. And yes, it came at the expense of whatever we were going to do, but not really. So there's there was this all other side of this also, right? It's not like he chose that specifically. That wasn't his plan for the day either, right? And so there's a lot of pieces that come to play in how we deal and dissect with emotions. But what I realized was the internal voice in my head wasn't really my voice. And let me explain. So he put the kids to bed, and normally, we'll sit like on the couch and hang out, whatever. But I went into our bedroom, kind of laid on the bed and started working on some business stuff of my own. And then he finished dealing with them, and he came and sat next to me, and we were on the bed talking. And from one point to another, somehow the conversation kind of turned into talking about judgment. And, I really work on not judging anybody ever. And he said to me, I feel like you're really judgmental in this situation. And that to me was a red light. Like, wait, what? Me? Judgmental? I'm not judgmental. I don't judge anybody. And I looked at him and I was like, what? Now, what happens normally in this point? I would go like, I'm not judgmental. What are you talking about? You're judgmental. Okay? There's a backlash. But I've been really working on, I don't need to defend myself. I want to expand myself. I'm done defending. I'm done avoiding. I'm just open to whatever information it needs to come to me. And I know that when it's coming from him, it's coming from a loving, open space. And if he's saying something to me, I need to look at it. So many times, now I'm going to pause again, right? How many times, how do you respond when somebody hands you an awareness on a platter? Do you shove it in their face? Do you avoid it? Do you defend it? What do you do? How do you react? What if you could just open? What if you could just open up and open yourself to receive the wisdom that they're going to share with you? And that is something I had to work on for years. And I think that's because of my childhood, because always being judged, because always, being put down, I've created this wall and barrier. And so that to me was such a win that I could just sit there and receive. And so when he said that to me, I was like, me? Judgmental? What are you talking about? And he said to me, yeah, I feel like you're very judgmental in this specific situation that we had today. And I suddenly realized, like, whoa, he is so right. I was totally judging him all day in my head. I was judging him in my head. I was judging him when he didn't come home for dinner. I was judging him in my head constantly. And that's what caused me to lose it intentionally, right? That's not the word I'm looking for, but okay. Essentially is the word. Okay. That's what made me lose it, essentially. The judgment. And I reminded myself that when you're in gratitude, you can't be in judgment. That is one of Access's most amazing tools. When you're in gratitude, you can't be in judgment. And that immediately like flipped it for me. And I was like, oh, how much gratitude can I have for this person? What an amazing person he is, right? Like his plans changed too. He ended up fixing a car in the freezing, cold weather in his shop, right? There's a lot there. And he missed my amazing dinner. Like, he didn't want to do all that. I was aware to shift my perspective and see it differently. And I was like, okay, I'm receiving this gift of awareness. I'm swallowing, right? I'm swallowing the emotions and feelings, and I'm shifting them and creating them and moving them around so I can actually let them go. So, because it's not serving me to feel that way anymore anyways. But then I started, so we had a good time, whatever. It was great. And then, later on I was laying in bed and I was kind of like tuning into myself, meditating a little bit. And I asked myself, like, where did those voices of judgment come from? Because my reality is, I know that I married the best person. I know he has the best heart. I know he will help any person, in no matter what situation, Ray would be there, right? That's who he is. That's what I love about him so much. What I realized was, growing up to two parents that got divorced when I was really young, to a father that had his own business as well, really resembling, right? To a dad that also had a really big heart and was always giving. And to a mom that was stuck at home with two little kids, And I realized that the whole internal monologue that went in my head was what I've heard growing up. Now, my parents got divorced when I was 6, okay? But the awareness of how many years and how I really view marriage and relationships and how, how to interact as a couple with your spouse, all of that came up for me from this experience of how much of when I get into a place where I feel uncomfortable and when I feel vulnerable, the venom comes out. It's very easy to, when you're feeling good, to be in your good headspace. And when you're feeling great and when you're feeling in control, to also be in control of the bad stuff and release it. It's a lot harder when you are vulnerable, when you are in pain, when you are stuck, because it's so much easier. It's like we open this door, like, okay, well, now I'm frustrated, so I'm allowed to do this. Now I'm angry, so I'm allowed to be mean and rude. Now I'm feeling this, so I'm allowed to take it out on you, or on my surroundings. Like, it's this, like, okay, it's okay, you can do that. It's like a lot of people, what they'll do, like, oh, I'm so mad right now, I'm just gonna go eat a bunch of food, right? We all have our mechanism. Oh, I'm so angry, I'm just gonna drink a bunch of beer and numb that anger. But the gold here is, like, what if you could be with that pain? What if you could be in the crap? What if you could ask the questions to really start opening up the energy so you can really release it? Because the awarenesses I got last night about this were so powerful. And I know that they have completely transformed how I'm going to react in the future. It's completely transformed, how I'm going to respond in the future. Because now I'm acting and responding from awareness. And so I know I don't need to defend my parents anymore. And I don't have to keep on their legacy of a great relationship. Right? Which it was not a great relationship. But when that's the only example you have, when you're I want to say it's like when your mind is in the gutter, because that's what it feels like, right? Because you're not there. It's like you let this, your ego take over, your ego, not your conscious. And so that's where this comes from. It's when your subconscious gets into gear and those programs and those beliefs and those behaviors start showing up, and that's not you. And so in the beginning of this conversation, I was sharing with you, like, right, I realized those voices in my head were not mine. They were not mine. There were voices from my past. There were voices from my parents. There were voices from the interactions that I internalized and created. And then when my guard is down, they just come up. And so I've been doing this work on me, oh my gosh, for years, but with other people for 17 years now. And it's just amazing to me. No matter what level you are of, your journey, no matter where you are in your process, there's always more stuff that when you are willing and ready to open the door and really look at what's really moving you, what's really controlling you, what's really operating in the background. When you're willing to go there, to really go there, from a place of like, yes, I am so ready to get rid of this, to move past this. Because I just realized, like, how much energy did I spend yesterday judging and being mad at my husband? How much energy did it took me to contain that? So my kids don't, which is a joke, because my kids are so aware and so energetic and they're so knowing, right? Like kids are. They're so telepathic. So it doesn't matter how much I was trying to like keep in. I know that they were like aware of what was going on, right? How much energy does that take? A ton of energy. How much toll does it take on your body? How much energy is in that? So I really want you to get the awareness of that, because so many times we are hiding things so dynamically. And I say dynamically because you're really not hiding anything, right? You're really just choosing to look the other way. And when you choose to look the other way, you leave yourself in the dark. You leave yourself in a corner. Like you don't put baby in a corner. Stop putting yourself in the corner. Because the real you, the authentic you, didn't come here with all this crap. Okay? This crap has been learned and translated and accumulated over time, and none of it's you. And so the fact that I was willing to go there and open that door and really be aware and let it go, I know has shifted so much in my household, my relationship, everything. And so that's why it was so important for me to come here and share it with you. And I call that the diamond effect. So because when you're in that, and that shininess, that gloriness, that holiness, you radiate that to the world. You radiate it to the world, and you radiate so bright and so shimmery and so strong that nothing negative can attach to that. It melts away. I was looking at these crystals that I put in my windows for rainbows. I love them. And if you just look into it, it's like all you see is pure light. And that light radiates these rainbows everywhere, And that's how I view you, right? When you do this work and you clear and heal, you just radiate this amazing energy of love and ease. But that also ripples throughout your whole body into everything else that you do. So just soak that in for a minute. Soak that energy in, because I know that you are just that. I know that if you're listening to me, you're somewhere on your journey. There's things in the background that are keeping you stuck. And, I'm hoping that this conversation really opens the door for you to be able to see clearly with more awareness, and just start asking those questions, right? And just receive those gifts. And remember, when you are in gratitude, you can't be in judgment. And that also ripples to you. So if you can be in gratitude for you, for who you are, if you can look in the mirror and be grateful for everything you've created, and more, and stop being in judgment, you would be so much closer to being in that diamond effect that you desire to be in. So thank you so much for listening. I adore you. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'm just excited to see what's to come. Have a fabulous week. I'll see you on the Desire More show on Friday with a guest, whoever wants to show up. And I will see you soon. Bye.